The price of every gallon of fuel you pump this week is about to be decided not by markets, not by OPEC, but by the detonation radius of bunker-busting ordnance dropped into mountain rock along the narrowest choke point on Earth. The Strait of Hormuz is now an active strike zone, and your economy is standing in the blast wave. U.S. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers have conducted precision strikes against Iranian missile bunkers embedded in the coastal mountains overlooking the Strait of Hormuz, targeting hardened underground facilities that housed anti-ship ballistic missiles capable of closing the waterway to all commercial traffic. The Pentagon has confirmed the operation, but has released almost no tactical detail, and that silence is the first warning sign. There's a technical detail about these bunkers that changes everything you think you know about this strike. And there is a historical parallel from the last empire that gambled its future on a Middle Eastern waterway and lost everything. There is a direct line between what just detonated in those mountains and what you will pay at the pump, at the grocery store, and inside your retirement account within the next 30 days. And if you leave this video before the 8-minute mark, you will miss the one signal that tells you whether this escalates into a regional war or whether it already has. If this is your first time encountering analysis at this level, subscribe now. This channel tracks the patterns that empires miss right before they fall, and this pattern is accelerating faster than any I have covered. According to a 2023 RAND Corporation assessment, Iran's coastal missile infrastructure along the Strait of Hormuz included an estimated 40 to 60 hardened bunker complexes, many carved into granite mountain faces at depths exceeding 80 meters. These facilities housed variants of the Khalij-E Fars anti-ship ballistic missile, a weapon with a reported range of 300 kilometers and terminal guidance capable of targeting moving vessels in one of the most congested shipping lanes on the planet. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute confirmed in its most recent yearbook that Iran had spent over a decade dispersing and hardening these assets, specifically to survive a first strike. Satellite imagery analyzed by the Center for Strategic and International Studies showed fresh excavation activity at no fewer than 12 sites along the Hormuzgan coastline, suggesting Iran had been expanding capacity even as diplomatic channels remained open. The Pentagon's confirmation referenced the use of GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, 30,000-pound bombs designed to reach targets buried under 200 feet of reinforced earth and concrete. Only the B-2 Spirit can carry this weapon, and only 21 B-2s exist in the entire U.S. arsenal, meaning this strike required a significant commitment of America's most limited and irreplaceable strategic asset. But here is what every major outlet completely missed. The bunkers that were struck were not the newest facilities. They were older, partially decommissioned sites that Iran had been quietly devaluing in its own defense planning for over 3 years. This means Iran may have anticipated this exact strike and relocated its most dangerous weapons to sites the U.S. has not yet mapped. Satellite imagery from commercial providers shows vehicle movement from at least 4 of the targeted sites in the 72 hours before impact, consistent with asset relocation protocols that intelligence analysts have tracked across Iranian military doctrine since 2019. If Iran moved its newest Khalij-E Fars variants and its faster solid fuel missiles to secondary mountain positions deeper in the interior, then the United States just spent its most expensive munitions destroying concrete shells. That is not a victory. That is a trap dressed as a headline. Within the next 72 hours, every military analyst tracking this region expects Iran to activate its asymmetric response network. Not a conventional missile launch against U.S. forces, but Houthi acceleration in the Red Sea, Hezbollah signaling along the Israeli northern border, and coordinated harassment of commercial tankers by Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps fast attack boats. Lloyd's of London has already begun repricing war risk insurance premiums for tankers transiting the strait, and early indications suggest rates could triple within 2 weeks. The ripple effect hits oil futures immediately, but the deeper damage strikes liquefied natural gas exports to Europe and Asia, tightening an energy market already strained by Russian supply disruptions. The economic shockwave does not stop at fuel. It reprices every commodity that moves by sea, which is nearly everything you buy. I want you to consider this carefully, and tell me in the comments below, do you believe Iran will retaliate with a direct military strike on a U.S. base in the region, or will they respond exclusively through their proxy network across 4 countries? Post your prediction, because what you choose reveals what you understand about how cornered powers actually fight. Now here is where the historical pattern becomes impossible to ignore. In 1956, the British Empire made a calculated decision to use military force to secure a critical Middle Eastern waterway, the Suez Canal, and the operation was tactically successful in the short term, with British and French forces seizing the canal zone within days. But strategically, Suez was the single event that exposed the fatal gap between Britain's imperial self-image and its actual economic and military capacity. The United States refused to back the operation. The pound sterling came under immediate speculative attack, And within months, Britain was forced into a humiliating withdrawal that signaled to every colony and ally on Earth that the empire could no longer project power without American permission. The Suez Crisis did not destroy the British Empire. It revealed that the empire was already hollowed out and running on institutional memory rather than genuine strategic capability. What you are watching unfold in the Strait of Hormuz carries that same structural signature. A dominant power strikes a choke point it cannot control long term, expends irreplaceable strategic assets against a threat that disperses rather than collapses, and triggers an economic chain reaction that weakens the very financial system funding the operation. The signal is the same, only the names have changed. Now let me tell you what this means for you. Not for generals, not for diplomats, not for defense contractors, for you sitting at home watching this screen. Approximately 21% of the world's daily oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, and every barrel that slows down or reroutes translates directly into a price increase at your local fuel station within 72 to 96 hours. If insurance premiums force even a temporary rerouting of tanker traffic around the Cape of Good Hope, the added transit time creates a supply lag of 14 to 21 days. That lag does not just raise fuel costs, it cascades into shipping container rates, food logistics chains, and manufacturing input costs across every economy you depend on. Your pension fund almost certainly holds energy sector and defense sector equities that will experience extreme volatility in the next 3 weeks. If you hold index funds, and most retirement accounts do, you are exposed to this whether you chose to be or not, because the S&P 500's energy weighting means a Hormuz disruption reprices your retirement timeline without your permission. If someone you care about, a parent, a partner, a sibling, has not heard this analysis yet, send them this video before the end of the day. The people who will be hurt worst by what comes next are the ones still watching headlines and have no idea what just started moving underneath. Here is what I have not told you yet, and what no major outlet has reported as of this recording. In the 72 hours before the U.S. strike, Iran's central bank executed an unusual large-scale conversion of foreign currency reserves into physical gold, routed through intermediary financial channels in the UAE and Turkey. The pattern has a name in intelligence analysis. It is called sanctions proofing. And it is what a government does when it knows kinetic action is coming and intends to sustain a prolonged confrontation, not a short one. The question that should keep you awake tonight is not whether Iran retaliates. It is whether Iran has already decided this will be a war of months, not days, and whether the U.S. strike just activated a timeline that Washington cannot control and cannot shorten. In the next video, I will break down the 3 specific Iranian response options that CENTCOM war-gamed in classified exercises during 2024. And which one the current naval force posture in the Persian Gulf suggests they are preparing for right now. That analysis may be the most important video this channel has ever released. Tell me in the comments. Do you believe this conflict stays contained to the Strait of Hormuz? Or do you believe we are watching the opening hours of a wider Middle Eastern war? Tell me your reasoning, because in moments like this, the logic behind your answer matters more than the prediction itself. You heard the opening line of this video, the price of your fuel decided by a detonation radius inside a mountain corridor 6,000 miles from your home. You understand now that it was never a metaphor. It is a logistics equation, and you are already inside it. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see the patterns before they reach your daily life. And if this analysis gave you clarity the nightly news did not, press the like button, because that is the only mechanism that surfaces this work to the people who need it before the next escalation hits. The follow-up video is on screen now. I will see you there. The analysis presented in this video is based on publicly available information and represents editorial opinion. Sources are linked in the description.